We are going to first continue with an introduction, that poem which we were doing last day.
Okay,
So please,
ma'am, I was having some problem with the literary devices, the figure of
yes,
speeches.
yes. Actually, I wanted to say that today it's entirely on Indian literature class. So
Okay,
I'll be coming back to European literature once again in the next class, and then I'll be explaining it. Those examples, I'll be explaining it to you. Okay.
okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Actually, ma'am, I was having not with the examples only. I
Okay.
was also having some problem with the figure of speeches like anaphora, euphemism. If you tell me in a short way, so that it will be a great help
Okay,
for
then
me.
I'll be telling you in WhatsApp also in short, and then again I'll be discussing in the other
Okay,
class
ma'am.
also. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Today, please open introduction once again.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, the poem which you was teaching in the previous day, Night
Yes.
of a Scorpion, that one?
Yes, you have some problem in that. Night of the
No,
Scorp.
ma'am, no. No, 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 ma'am,
Okay.
no.
Now you open the introduction by Kamala Das.
Okay, 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 that one. Okay, ma'am.
Yes, come to page 2 of the PDF.
Page 2.
Yes. See, don't write in English, they said. English is not your mother tongue. Why not leave me alone that part?
Actually, ma'am, I'm having the printout
Oh,
of this
okay,
PDF.
just check the first page. In the first page only, I think. Yes, it's in the
I
first
don't
page.
know politics, that one.
Uh, could you find I am an Indian, very brown, just the fourth or fifth line? Could you find that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think we did till second page. It is half English, half Indian, funny perhaps. That one, till that line, as far as I remember, or maybe beyond that also, I think. Yes, Kamala Das was saying that the way of her writing was actually similar to her opinions being expressed. Like she was expressing her opinions in the form of writing, in the form of writing poetry, in the form of writing write-ups, and thus she was gaining popularity by expressing herself in the form of poetry. So there were many critics who were telling her that why are you writing in English language? You are Madhavi Kutty. You were actually someone from South India, so you should be writing in your own language. Or you might take up something which is Indian, like some kind of an Indian language. Why are you following some kind of a Western culture? You are bringing in Western culture to our country. Our country is so much based on Hinduism, so much based on orthodox policies and all. Why are you wanting those cheap Western culture to get inculcated within the minds of our people? You are so cheap. That was all the people around her telling her, because she was kind of outward. She used to speak without having any kind of fear in her mind. So that's what people hate. Whenever girls or whenever women or whenever ladies speak like that, whenever they come out of their particular zone, people start thinking that, oh, she is such a bitch because she is saying in that way. Why will she speak like that? So Kamala Das was actually a kind of a very had a very bad image in front of her family members also, as well as in front of the other people also, as well as in front of the other critics also. So she herself is saying that yes, of course, I write in half English, I write in half my birth language, mother tongue, and half I write in some other language also. So what if I write in some other languages? Whatever language I write in, it's mine. It's exactly mine own language. Whether there are certain distortions, whether there are certain wrong in the language, it's absolutely mine. No one is making a boundary around me. It's me who is expressing myself in the way I want. So it's entirely my language, and I'm proud to write in that language. So she's telling it is half English, half Indian. Funny perhaps, but it is honest. Yes, but it is honest. It is as human as I am human. Don't you see? It voices my joys, my longings, my hopes. And it is useful to me as cawing is to the crows, or roaring is to the lions. So she is saying that uh, it's the language is exactly like the way I want to be. I want to express my joys, I want to express my desires, my hopes, and I write in that language so that people can know about me, know what my desires are, know how a woman am I. So that was how she used to portray her feelings, her opinions to the society. And it is useful to me as cawing is to crows, or roaring is to lions. So just like crows caw and lions do roar, just to express their hunger, or express their emotions, that's how I also express my emotions through these kind of poetry in half Indian, half funny languages. So that is how I prefer writing, or prefer expressing my opinions. It is human speech, the speech of the mind that is here and not there. A mind that sees and hears, is aware. So she is saying that it is me who is writing in this language, who is following the language. And yes, I have a mind which is entirely aware of the fact that such a language exists, and that is how I express myself. It is me who is fully aware of the things that is going on around me, and whatever is going on in my life, I am entirely aware of the fact. Or whatever the position of the women is in the society, I am also aware of that. So I am expressing my opinions, breaking that boundary which is around me. I am expressing myself without any kind of biased attitude. I am expressing myself in the way of freedom. Not the deaf, blind speech of trees, or in storm, or of monsoon clouds, or of rain, or the incoherent mutterings of the blazing funeral pyre. So, my speech, whatever I am writing, it won't stop. It won't have. It won't get meaningless. Just like trees in storm, like when a storm comes, the trees go to and fro, it breaks down, it sometimes sway that way, it sometimes sway this way, sometimes all the leaves are blown away, and all the trees are devastated. So within a small span of time, a storm entirely destroys a tree. So she is comparing her poetry to that tree in the storm. She is saying that trees might be like broken down, might shed all its leaves, might all its leaves be flown away, but my poetry won't stop, because I have a greater might in me. I will keep on writing, I will keep on expressing my feelings till I change the society, till I change the position of women in the society, how they get treated. Till I change that, I won't stop writing, I won't stop expressing my feelings. So she is also comparing her poetry and her life with the monsoon winds which come and go, or the rain which again come and go, and the incoherent mutterings of the blazing funeral pyre. So just like the funeral pyre, just when a person is getting burned, like the dead body of a person is getting burned, in that pyre, it happens only for certain minutes, right? After that, everything is over. So she is once again comparing her poetry, her life, to the funeral pyre, which gets finished, but her poetry will never finish. Till the time she has her breath, she won't stop writing poetry or stop fighting for her choice, for her opinions. Now, she is explaining about her life, that she was a child and later they told me I grew. For I became tall, my limbs swelled, and one or two places sprouted hair. Now, this is very natural. A child who is growing up will have certain, will attain an age where they will attain puberty, and that person is growing, especially a female, and there are certain changes during the age of puberty. The limbs grow, they become fat, the lower body becomes a bit bulky, then it gets swelled, thighs swell, and one or two places in our body have hair. Little hairs come out, that's very natural. When I asked for love, not knowing what else to ask for, he drew a youth of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. Now here, he drew a youth of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. This means that when her physical appearances started becoming like an adult, Kamala Das's parents married her off. Just at a very nascent age of 16, she was married off, and this portion that he drew a youth of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. This means that she was forced to have a married life, like a person have to go through certain things after marriage, and she had to go through that just at a small age of 16, where a person can never understand the responsibilities of a family or marriage. So she was not even an adult at that time. Just at 16 she was married off. He did not beat me, but my sad womanly body felt so beaten. So she is saying that I was not ready for anything, and yet she is telling that my husband didn't beat me. He was all right, he was good, he was just behaving like a normal husband should do, but I was not ready. I was not even knowing what marriage means, or what family means, or what kind of responsibilities I would be facing, or what troubles I would be having. I don't know anything about all those, and still I felt that I was so much beaten. Like after marriage, many things happen, so many changes happen, both physically, both mentally, both emotionally. So she was feeling that as if she was beaten. Still, in literal sense, she was not beaten, but still she felt her womanly body was beaten. The weight of my breasts and womb crushed me. She felt that maybe her physical appearance, the way she was adulting, maybe that's why her parents married her off from the house, from her own house. She felt that maybe maybe my breasts, my womb, maybe has crushed my entire life. Maybe that's why I'm married off. Maybe I'm a bit way more developing. My body is way more developing than the others. Maybe that's why I was married off at such an earlier age. I shrank pitifully. So she was just cursing her body for a moment, because she was hardly 16 at that moment. What would she have wanted in her life? She started cursing her own body, that because of my body I was married off. Then I wore a shirt and my brother's trousers, cut my hair short and ignored my womanliness. So she started ignoring her womanliness, and she wore a shirt and her brother's trousers. She cut her hair short and ignored all the type of things which a woman normally follows. She was actually against the typical womanly feelings, or typical societal way of raising a woman. She felt that why can't I be like a boy? Why can't I be like my individual self? I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to act like a woman. Then why should I be following the rules, the prescribed rules of the society? Who is this society? Why can't I follow my own dreams? Why can't I follow my own desires? If I want to have a short hair, I can have it, right? Who has written down the features of feminism or features of womanliness, that a woman should be like this only? long hair, beautiful eyes, beautiful lips, and proper clothes. Why can't I wear a shirt? Why can't I wear a pant? So that is how she was revolting. She was telling about her own self. Dress in saris, be girl, be wife, they said, be embroidered, be embroiderer, be cook, be a quarreler with servants, fit in. Oh, belong, cried the categorizers. So she is saying that all the people around me were telling me that you are so disgusting. Why don't you dress up yourself in saris? Why can't you act like a girl? Be a wife? Like normally girls have to become wife, they have at that time girls had to become wife, they had to look after the family, they had to take up all the responsibilities of the family. So be like that, be a wife, they said. Now who is they? They means those people who were around her, who were the critics as well as some of her family members. So they said, be embroiderer, be cook. Embroiderer means a person who stitches clothes. Like normally these stitching businesses were started by these like women only, not like male. Nowadays you can see male tailors also, but previously there were women tailors, and they used to do the embroidery works, different embroidery works, be it stitching designs on the bags or making clothes for women, or and many sorts of things like that only. You can be a cook, like you can cook so many dishes. Be a wife, be a cook, be an embroiderer, be a quarreler with servants. You can also become a good wife by quarreling with servants. So these people are saying all sorts of nonsense things. They feel that women only were born to do all these stupid stuffs, quarrel with the servants. Now if servants do not do their work properly, women will go and then quarrel with their stuff. Like this is so like mean, ridiculous. Fit in. Oh, belong, cried the categorizers. So these people around her used to tell her, why are you trying to go out of the boundary? A certain boundary is set for the women. Why are you trying to go out of it? Fit inside it. Be inside the category into which you are always put. Don't sit on walls or peep in through our lace draped windows. So there were these windows which were fully covered. If we open a certain part of the curtain, previously these kind of blinds or curtains were followed, and if we pulled a rope, these things would go up and you can look outside the window. So the writer is saying that I was advised to stay behind those curtains, not to peep through any kind of walls or to peep through any kind of lace draped windows. I was asked to stay inside. So the people were saying that be Amy, be Kamala, or better still be Madhavi Kutti. So her original name was Madhavi Kutti. So the people were telling her that be Madhavi Kutti, or be Amy, or be Kamala like you are, but do not try to be a man. It is time to choose a name, a role. Don't play pretending games. Don't play at schizophrenia or be a nympho. Don't cry embarrassingly loud when jilted in love. I met a man, loved him. Okay, this part is afterwards. So the people are telling that you should be choosing a proper name. Do not act like a person who is unaware of the society, unaware of the fact that what a feminine personality should maintain. Do not forget all those that you are a female. Do not act like a male. Don't try to play pretending games. The schizophrenia means forgetting things. So people are saying that do not act like a schizophrenic patient. Do not act like that. You know everything what a female is up to, and you should be following the boundaries set for the females. Don't cry embarrassingly loud when jilted in love. So there are certain moments when we are not able to control our emotions. We start crying, and that also sometimes very loudly, especially when we get hurt very deeply. So those times we cannot control our feelings. We never understand also that there are so many people around us, or maybe in private we start crying so loudly. That is what the other people are saying. Do not cry so loudly. It can happen. Do not embarrass yourself or us by crying so loudly, because female are docile people, and they should be crying in private, and that also by not showing their tears to others. Do not cry loudly. So Kamala Das is now saying, I met a man, loved him, called him not by any name. He is every man who wants a woman, just as I am every woman who seeks love. So she is saying that I met a man, I fell in love with him, but he loved me just like a woman, just like he would love any other woman. It's not something special. He loved me just like he would love any other woman. Means that person would definitely want a woman in his life, because he wants to do all the house. He wants that woman to take control of the household and do all the household stuffs on her own. That is what a male or a man would preferably want a woman to do in the previous times. There are certain people now also who feel that a woman should be like trapped within the household, but previously it used to happen a lot more. So she is saying that I also loved this man, and he also wanted a woman just like any other woman. I was not special for him, but I was a woman who was seeking only love, a person who would give me love. I would be a part of him. So she is saying that I only want love and nothing else. I do not expect any kind of other stuffs to be done by the person I am loving. I just want pure love. The hungry haste of In him, the hungry haste of rivers in me, the ocean's tireless waiting. Who are you? I ask each and every one. The answer is, it is I. Anywhere and everywhere, I see the one who calls himself I in this world. So Kamala Das is saying that when I ask a man that who are you? That person says, I am myself. I do my work myself. I have my own identity. I prefer doing this. I prefer doing that. Those are my hobbies. That is what a man says. What about women? Women will always say about her family that this is my family. I represent this family. Why not? She is creating her own identity, because she is not allowed to do that. At that time when Kamala Das was writing, she felt that women were not allowed to do so. That's why women were not coming out of their boundaries. They were just curbed down. Their talents were going unknown. Yes. In this world, he is tightly packed like the sword in its sheath. It is I who drink lonely, drinks at 12 midnight, in hotels of lonely. Okay, it is I who laugh. Oh, sorry. Drinks at 12 midnight in hotels of strange towns. It is I who laugh. It is I who make love and then feel shame. It is I who lie dying with a rattle in my throat. So Kamala Das is saying that a person, like a man, always has his identity. Like whenever a man is born, like a baby is born, baby boy is born, he has his own identity. What about the baby girl? She has just come out and people have started thinking about, oh, what a burden has come in our family. Like previously people used to think like that. Nowadays so many things have changed. We're not talking about right now, but we are talking about the days when Kamala Das used to write. So she is saying that this boys or men always have that identity in themselves. Whether they do something great, whether they do not do something great, they have an identity. What about the female? When they are wanting to do something, they are not allowed to. When they are wanting to create their own identity, they are not allowed to do so. So men have their own identity, and female, when they are wanting to create their own identity, they are not being allowed to do so. So basically, men can do anything, but women, when they want their husband to be beside them, husband is not there. Maybe husband is maybe with some other women, or maybe the husband is doing his important work, and the husband feels that his work is more important than his wife. But the wife will never feel in that way. The wife will always give her time to her husband. So Kamala Das used to feel all these things. She used to feel lonely even in her married life. Though she has 3 children, but she was lacking that kind of love or emotion from her husband. That is why she was writing that I was having drinks at 12 in strange towns, in some hotels, in some strange towns, that also lonely, alone. No one was there beside me to enjoy the day, to where to whom I can express my emotions, what I went through the whole day. I wanted to express to someone, right? Whatever happens with us, we want to tell someone. So Kamala Das also wanted to do the same thing. Because she was married, she wanted to say everything to her husband, but she was not getting that time with her husband. She was entirely left alone the whole day. So she is saying that it is I who love, it is I who make love and then feel shame. So girls do want love, but when they make love, or they after having love, they feel, oh, I did a wrong thing. Maybe it's very shameful for me whatever I did. So men never think in that way, but women will always think in that way. So she is saying all about the females, that they feel shame even after loving. It is I who lie dying with a rattle in my throat. So she is saying that even if I die, no one would care to take care of me in my last days. I will die like that only. But men, they will always want motherly feelings. They will always want that soft touch. They will always want a female body to be beside them. But what about females? We do not get that touch which we want, that care, that emotion which we want. Kamala Das is saying, I am sinner, I am saint, I am the beloved and the betrayed. I have no joys that are not yours, no aches which are not yours. I too call myself I. So she is saying that I am a sinner. I have done certain wrong things, but I am a saint also, because I have taken care of everyone. I am a saint. I did good deeds also. I am the beloved and the betrayed. Like I am loved also and I am betrayed also. So even after giving love, I got betrayed. I have no joys that are not yours, no aches which are not yours. I too call myself I. So she is saying that you might have your own joys, men might have their own joys, but female will always start with the joy of her family. She will always think about her family instead of thinking about her individual self. So she is saying that my joys will start from you only, not from me. My pain will also start from the family pain. I do not have my own pain. I will never convey my own pain to anyone. But men, even after getting hurt a bit, they will keep on telling that I got hurt, I got hurt. But female do not say like that. They keep on tolerating everything. It's in the female nature maybe. She's saying that it's in the female nature maybe. I too call myself I. And at last she is concluding that if men can call themselves I, why can't I call myself I? Like if men can do so many things, why can't we female do so many things? Why are we restricted? So that was the poem, and hope so you understood the theme and whatever was there in it. And this poem, an introduction, was taken from Summer in Calcutta. Now, Summer in Calcutta was actually a whole book. It's a big book, and because of Summer in Calcutta, Kamala Das received so many prizes and awards. And Summer in Calcutta was actually a collection of poems. Okay. Next, we are going to study about the Enterprise. Enterprise by Nizam Ezeki. Can you please open Enterprise PDF?
Enterprise. Okay, ma'am. I'm opening the PDF only.
Yes.
Actually, it's all messed up the printouts.
Okay.
Enterprise. Can you tell me in which one it is there?
I had sent you last day only, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. It's opened. Yes, ma'am, I have opened.
Okay. We are going to discuss this poem now. Now, we are discussing some important texts, okay? It's not possible at all to discuss all the texts. I have just made a list of some very important texts, and we are going to discuss only those. And then we are going back to that European literature, that English literature, and then we are going to discuss some of the important texts of European literature also, just like the way we are discussing now, okay? Enterprise. Okay, so it's written by Nizam Ezeki, and this person used to write normal themes with moral values always, okay? And this poem started with an adventure, like it's a new beginning to something, like be it a life being born on the planet, be it a baby being born, or some kind of starting of a new beginning in our life. Like every day, obviously, we have a new beginning. We can talk in that way only. Like any kind of new beginning, we can say is being referred to as adventure over here, because with every beginning comes certain positive approaches also. Like if we are starting our day, we feel so much energetic. We feel that wow, we are so energetic, and we can do this, we can do that, but the time we reach evening, the time we reach night, we forget everything. We hardly do half of the things we ever thought in the morning. And that is what life is all about also. If we do not focus properly, we will miss out so many things. We should be focusing on the important things and not on the silly things. Like in the morning, we should be making a chart of everything which is important, not of the silly things which we do not require to do. Now, Enterprise. It started as a pilgrimage. So we know what's a pilgrimage, like visiting religious places. It's a pilgrimage. It started as a pilgrimage, exalting minds and making all burdens light. So exalting minds means like exciting minds. They can do anything and everything. They have such a mindset. And making all the burdens light. Like whatever burdens are there, they feel that we can take any kind of burdens, like whether it's a very big rock falling from the mountain, whether it's a very big luggage bag, or whether it's a bull coming to attack us. We can take any kind of burden. That's the feeling which we have whenever we go over to some kind of a journey, or we are looking forward to a new day. We feel that we can do anything. Today is a new day. We will do everything. We will take any kind of burden which will come in our front. The second stage, explode, but did not test the call. So the first stage was they started the pilgrimage. The second stage was they were exploring slowly and steadily. They were exploring the day. They have just started their day. It was a bright day. They were going to a pilgrimage. So the sun beat down to match our rage. So rage means we are having such excitement in our mind that we have started a new journey. So we have so much of freshness in our mind. We have so much of energetic behavior. We can do anything. So even the sun's heat is matching our heat, our bodily heat. We stood it very well, I thought. observed and put down copious notes on things the peasants sold and bought. Now, these were the little things which all the pilgrims were noting down. What were these? First, they observed and noted down in their little paper or notebooks what the peasants sold and bought. Like whenever we go on a journey, we look this side, that side, we look at so many things, because that's an entirely different environment for us, not that monotonous life which we are living every day. So we are always excited about traveling. We are always excited about clicking pictures here everywhere whenever we are traveling to a new place. So this person is saying that we were a big group of people, with big group of pilgrims, and we were going to this pilgrimage place. We were very excited. We started noting down what the peasants were selling and buying, because they felt that this is a pilgrimage place, so maybe the peasants will sell and buy many new things, and we should be noting it down. What else were they noting down? The way of serpents. Now here the spelling of serpents is wrong. The serpents means the people who just blow that whistle, that musical instrument, and snakes dance to it. So the way of the serpents, how the serpents were dealing with the snakes, how they were making them dance. That was the way they were doing it. They wrote it down. And of the goats, like what the goats were doing, such silly things they were observing and they were noting them down. 3 cities where a sage had taught, but when the 3 cities where a sage had taught. They even wrote what the sage or the hermits were teaching their disciples. Like many foreigners also went to see the yogas and the sadhus and the sages up in the mountains. Especially at pilgrimage places, you will see so many sadhus and all those people, and people go and seek blessings from them because they feel that sages are very much blessed, and that's why they want to have conversations. They want to become disciples of these sages. So people go there to take influence from these people. But when the differences arose on how to cross a desert patch, we lost a friend whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. So this is the second part, or this is the second part, because the writer feels that the differences were slowly coming. Like whatever we thought happened till now, but now slowly and steadily things were going to some other way. Like differences arose on how to cross a desert patch. Now in life there are certain obstacles coming, and in this poem they are talking about a desert patch. Now crossing a desert is very tough, because first of all there is sandy desert, we cannot walk properly, and they were hardly having any kind of vehicle there, so they had to cross by walking only. So when they were about to cross the desert patch, they felt that people were not ready to cross it. We lost a friend whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. There was this friend who told that I'm not continuing this journey because I feel I'm not being able to cross it. I'm quite tired, even by thinking only that I have to cross such a big desert. So that person used to write good prose. That person was maybe going to be a writer. He loved writing, but that person lost, separated. A shadow falls on us and grows. So when a person, when a group is there, we feel so strengthening, we feel so spirited, we are always high in thinking, high in doing everything. But when slowly and steadily that group breaks, we do not get that kind of energetic feeling. We feel, okay, that person left, maybe there's something wrong in whatever we are doing. So that's a feeling which comes within us. So that demotivates us, because a person leaving, that friend was so good and that person is leaving, that is very much disappointing. Another phase was reached when we were twice attacked and lost our way. So there was this phase when something attacked them. Like, it is not mentioned what attacked them, but something attacked them, and hence they lost their way. A section claimed its liberty to leave the group. There was this section who felt that we need a liberty, we need a freedom, we need to leave the group because we are unable to continue with this hard like pilgrimage. It's very hard to be a pilgrim because you will be restricted to certain things and you won't be able to do many things just because you are a pilgrim. So that's why you have to keep your strength and you have to move on. If you cannot, you'll have to go back and leave. So a section, now it was not about one person, it was a section now, and this section claimed its liberty to leave the group. This section felt that no, we cannot continue, we should be leaving the group. I tried to pray. Oh, again this pray spelling is wrong. P-A-R-A-Y it will be. So I tried to pray. So the poet, that is Nizam Ezekei, felt that I should be praying because everyone was going away. I was feeling lonely. I was feeling like devastated that why is everyone leaving? When we have decided to go on a journey, we should be completing it, right? But why are people going away midway? Our leader said he smelt the sea. We noticed nothing as we went. Now the leader, there is always a group leader, and that leader felt that there was a sea nearby, because whenever we come near a sea, we feel that there is a beautiful smell, sandy beach smell that is coming, and everyone can know that okay, there is a sea nearby. And the leader felt that yes, he could smell the sea, and he told the group, we noticed nothing as we went. So these people, when they started their journey, they noted down so many things. They noted about the sage, they noted about the serpent's way of blowing the instrument, the making the snake dance, about the goats, then about so many little stuffs which they were recording in their notebook. But now they have crossed so much, they have become so tired that they were hardly having any hope, or they were hardly looking up what is there on their sides. Even if a storm comes, they won't be able to understand because they are half dead, you can say, because so much they have traveled. They do not have energy, they do not have the spirit with which they had started, because half of the group have left. There's no one to encourage them anymore. The leader was himself getting like tired by walking and walking. So they were hardly noticing anything anymore. A straggling crowd of little hope. So the crowd, it was just like a crowd who was struggling just with a little hope, ignoring what the thunder meant, deprived of common needs like soap. Some were broken, some merely bent. So what the thunder meant means, here a thunder was coming, but they were hardly interested in that. They were hardly fearing the thunder, because they felt that we are already devastated. What more can we like fear about? We are deprived of little things, we are deprived of home. They have already left their home, right? When you are going to a pilgrimage or when you are traveling to some new place, you have to leave your home, of course, and then you have to leave all the like people also. Like if you are not traveling with your family, you have to leave them behind also. You have to leave your like belongings at home. You cannot carry everything with you, so you need to leave so many beautiful things and beautiful memories aside, and then you have to go on a pilgrimage, because pilgrimage is quite hard. It's not like normal traveling. It's not like enjoying. Here you cannot enjoy. You have to go, you have to struggle and go to that pilgrim place. You have to go to offer worship to that god where you are going, especially to that religious place. So some felt that they were broken, some felt that they were merely bent. So some felt that they are already broken, they do not need to be afraid of the thunder, and some were merely bent because they are not being able to walk anymore. They were hardly having any kind of energy left. When finally we reached the place, we hardly know why we were there. So when these people, this straggling group of people went to that religious place, they hardly knew why they were there. Like when they started their journey, they were very much having brightened minds, and they were feeling, oh yes, we are going to go to that place. We are feeling very happy, excited to go to that place, to reach that destination. Let us go. But now they were hardly having any kind of interest in them. The trip had darkened every face. Our deeds were neither great nor rare. Home is where we have to gather grace. So the trip had darkened every face, means that they were very much tired. And their deeds were neither great nor rare. Like everyone does something or the other. They were not the first group of people who went to this pilgrimage place. There are so many people who travel to these pilgrimage places. So what new have they done? If they could have done something new, then it would have been a great achievement. But they haven't done anything great. They have done the same old thing which people have been doing through ages. So what's new about it? They have gone. Many people like them have reached that destination. So they have finally concluded in the last line itself that home is where we have to gather grace. So instead of traveling and losing all our might and losing all our energy, we could have stayed at home only, and from home only we could have worshipped God, instead of spending so much of money and so much of energy in traveling to a religious place. We can have a little statue of God at home only, and then we can just pray and worship to them only. That is what the writer is saying, that if you are starting something new, you will always be excited, but the time you finish that thing, you will be deprived of all the energy. So think before starting a new thing, because if you do not need to start that thing, do not give your energy in that thing. Instead, channelize your energy in something else in which you need to focus. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about let us talk about Kabuliwala. Okay, Kabuliwala is actually a short story, and I haven't given you any kind of PDF. Yes, I haven't given you any kind of PDF, but it's a short story by Rabindranath Tagore. And we know that Rabindranath Tagore wrote on human emotions, then female struggle, then the society of that time, how the society was influencing the mindset of the people. That is what mostly relating to the emotions, and relating to the communication, how the people used to do, how the people used to feel. That is what the main aspects of Rabindranath Tagore's works were. And Kabuliwala is a great work. It's a short story, and it is told from the perspective of a father. Now this father used to the father was a writer, and he used to write prose and like stories, and he was in the 7th chapter of his prose, and he felt that he should be completing this prose that day only. But he has his daughter, and that little daughter used to speak so much. She was so talkative that she used to talk with everyone, and like anyone and everyone, be it a stranger, be it a family member. She used to go on chatting and chatting. So she was just a very little girl of 4 or 5 years maybe, and she was roaming about in the whole house. She was calling everyone by names, giving everyone different names, and she came to her father and told that what are you doing, why are you writing so much? And when the father was going to tell what he was going to write and what was his work all about, she started talking about some other thing. So she was so very disturbing. She used to go here, she used to go there, and talk with everyone on varied topics. So she was so little that she didn't even understand that people had so much of work to do, that everyone is not like free like her, roaming about and all. One day, while her father was writing, she came across a little kabuliwala. A kabuliwala means a person who used to sell these dry fruits like kismis, then cashews, almonds, pista, all these things. These kabuliwala used to sell. And Kabuliwala was a person who came from Kabul, Afghanistan, Kabul, and he came to West Bengal, Kolkata to sell all these things, to sell these dry fruits because he was poor. He had to sell and earn his livelihood. So Kabuliwala also got attracted to this little girl's voice, and he came with his like big bag, and that bag was that bag was like a potato bag, like very big and bulky, and the little girl felt that oh, that man must be having a little child in that bag also. So she was frightened and she ran away from there after calling Kabuliwala Kabuliwala. So she ran away, but the Kabuliwala came, and when her father came out that yes, what for what have you come here, then the Kabuliwala told that no, your daughter called me so sweetly, that's why I have come here. So I want to give her some dry fruits. So her father said, that little child's father said that okay, she called you, okay, I'm calling her. But she was afraid because she felt that Kabuliwala was having a bag, and in that bag also there was a little girl who was kidnapped. That was not the fact. She was a little child, so she was thinking in a very different way. She was afraid, she was frightened. But then because of her father, she came out, she listened to her father, and she came to the Kabuliwala. She talked, she had a little conversation with him, and then she forgot about all her fears. And then every day, whenever the Kabuliwala used to pass from his streets, she used to talk with him. She used to tell everything, pouring her heart out. She used to tell each and everything to him. She became so friendly with him. And one day, what happened, that Kabuliwala did not come, and the father was also waiting, that what happened, this Kabuliwala did not come, what's wrong with him. But after 1 or 2 days, so there were some policemen gathering outside the neighbor's house, and they were just pulling the Kabuliwala, and they were just arresting him and taking him to jail. Now why suddenly this? The father was extremely shocked to see such a scene, to see such a scene. It's because he heard from some of the policemen that this Kabuliwala had used a knife to stab a person in the neighborhood, because that person did not give him the money which he which he actually got after selling the dry fruits. Each and every day, Kabuliwala used to go to that neighbor's house, and he used to ask for the money, for which the neighbor used to say that okay, I'll be giving you tomorrow, I'll be giving you next day, and like that the person did not give him the money which he deserved for selling the dry fruits. And finally, after getting angry, after having a great fight with that person, he stabbed that person, and hence the Kabuliwala was being arrested, was being sent to jail, because it was proved that he had murdered a person, and murdering is a crime. It doesn't have any kind of forgiveness. That's why he was sent to jail on spot. And this little girl didn't see this, but when she heard everyone talking and there was a chaos in the streets, she came out and she started asking that where are you going, Kabuliwala, and what have you done. She was a little girl, so she was hardly understanding what was going on. She asked Kabuliwala what was going on. So this Kabuliwala told, one day you will go to your in-laws house, and today I am going to my in-laws house. So the little girl told that, oh, you are going to your in-laws house, like you are getting married, so you are going to your in-laws house. So the Kabuliwala told yes. But then the little girl didn't smile, because she felt that she had a friend in Kabuliwala, and this Kabuliwala won't be coming from next day. So she went inside her home, and the Kabuliwala was arrested. So this was one part of the short story. The second part starts from here, that the girl has grown up, and she was hardly having any kind of memories with the Kabuliwala. She felt that she has more friends. Nowadays she never talked with strangers. She started she was having minimal gossips with people. She didn't used to run around anymore. She was growing into an adult, so she was hardly speaking much with the people around her. She was having more of female friends, just like females have more of female friends and less of male friends. And especially at that time, ladies hardly had any kind of male friends, so mostly female friends she was having. She was conversing with them, and she was hardly having any kind of memories or any kind of longing for the Kabuliwala. But when she was getting married, just on the day of marriage, she was getting like decked up. Her friends were there, her family members were there, who were looking after her, who were making her ready for the marriage. On that day, the Kabuliwala came. Many years passed, and the Kabuliwala came with that amount of dry fruits once again. Now, obviously, he was not a seller anymore, and he got those dry fruits from one of his friends, and he came with those dry fruits just to give to that little girl Millie. Her name was Millie, and he wanted to give those fruits to Millie and just wanted to meet her. The Kabuliwala felt that Millie might be that small little girl who used to talk with him, who used to gossip with him, who used to run around calling Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala. But she was not that girl anymore. She has grown up, and there is a huge difference between a little girl and an adult girl. The little girl will know nothing about the world, but the adult girl will know many things and almost everything about the world. And especially she will keep herself away from men, because she knows that men cannot be her friends. Men have a very different perspective, so she will definitely keep her away from them. So when this Kabuliwala came, her father felt that no, that he is a murderer. I shouldn't be allowing him to at least come to my house on this day of marriage, because people will think in a very bad way that a murderer has come, that also on the day of marriage. It is so much of it's like a curse. So the father felt that he shouldn't be allowed in the home. So just in a polite manner only, the father approached Kabuliwala and he told him that can you please go today, because there is a lot of war going on in my house, so I won't be able to talk with you today. Can we just have a conversation some days later, maybe? So the Kabuliwala felt that okay, the people might be busy, so I shouldn't be disturbing anyone. So he went back, but just after before getting out from the main gate, he felt that he should meet at least the little girl. So he just asked the father that can I see your daughter for a while? I want to meet her. I want to give her these dry fruits. So the father told that see, my daughter is getting married. So so before telling anything else, the father felt that no, I shouldn't be doing like this. At least for once, I should take my daughter in. I should like call my daughter in front of him, and then at least let him see my daughter once. So the daughter was called. She was very much like shy. She has grown up. She is getting married, so she is very much shy about meeting new people, and that also a Kabuliwala. Why will she meet a Kabuliwala? And that also on the day of marriage. The guests were very angry because they felt that the father was destroying the beautiful day by calling a murderer to their home. But then the father felt that let anything happen. I won't be thinking about the other people's opinions. I will only think about this Kabuliwala. Then this Kabuliwala saw saw the girl in that marriage attire, in that beautiful attire, and he was just very shocked, because he never felt that this girl will grow up into such a beautiful lady, and that those words of those innocent Kabuliwala was no more there. So she felt that everything. So the Kabuliwala felt that everything has changed. So many things have changed in these few years when he was inside the jail. He did not have any kind of money. He just wanted to give those dry fruits to that girl. So he gave and he went away. But the father, the girl's father, went out and saw the Kabuliwala was sitting somewhere outside, and he just gave a few amount of money to him and told him that you go to your homeland, you go there and stay. The Kabuliwala just stood up and he just took out a small paper from his pocket, and the paper was having a small like print, like a hand print of a little girl, like the little palms of a little girl. That kind of print was there in the paper. And he told that just like your daughter, I also have a little daughter in Kabul in Afghanistan, and I only have this memory with me. I do not know where my daughter is right now, how old is my daughter. I just know that my daughter is like your daughter only. And just because I saw those glimpses of my daughter in your little daughter few years back, that's why I used to come and visit your home. I used to provide you with free dry fruits, just like because I felt that that little girl was like my little daughter. So while telling, he started crying, and the little girl and and Millie's father told that you go to your home, you go and stay with your daughter. You will feel happy. At least if I help you to go to Kabul, if I help you to go to your homeland, at least my daughter will have a great married life, because I feel you will bless her, and I know you will bless her. So the father also felt very emotional, because he was also a father, and he felt the pain of another father who was sent to jail, who was not having any kind of livelihood, who was hardly having any money to send to her daughter, and he didn't have any kind of connection with with his daughter only. So he also felt the pain, because now his daughter is also going away to the in-laws house. She is also getting married. So this Millie's father was also having the same kind of emotional attachment, just like the way this Kabuliwala was having. So that was the end of this novel. The Kabuliwala took the money and just went away. So that was the end of this Kabuliwala story, and this was a very emotional story written by Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, so let the class be till here today. We are going to discuss again about certain other novels and stories in our next classes. I'll be telling you whether I will be continuing with the Indian literature part or with the European literature part. That I'll be telling you in message. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Any problem you have? Any problem?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am, no.
Okay.